After getting the election leaflets through the door and then reading the longer manifestos, I thought I would try to relate the provisions of each manifesto to the Ponthir Solar Plan. It's my own interpretation, and I hope not to be biased. Some parties have more to say about countryside solar than others. I'd be happy to receive comments on this video. I'll cover the 6 parties in order of their current poll status, which is Plaid, Reform, Labour, Green, Conservative, Liberal Democrat. I live near Ponthir, in an area planned to have a major solar development. Before the 7th of May election, I would like to draw your attention to some aspects of this, including the Senedd being the adjudicator and being empowered to put national significance above local priorities. Whilst total energy solar development may support the idealistic aims of a centralized government, it would seriously damage the character and social fabric of the local communities in which our accessible, picturesque region is a fulcrum. Not least, it would affect landscape, recreation, agriculture, equestrianism, road safety, health, and the general well-being of local communities. The solar proposals have much public opposition, and they incite political consequences. I then commented on ways in which the parties' manifestos might relate to our cause. Plaid Cymru, leader Rhun ap Iorwerth. I'm glad to say that there's a lot in your manifesto that assists our plight, including the overlapping climate and nature emergencies, ensuring that people, families and businesses in Wales really benefit from our renewable energy potential, strengthening rural communities, supporting our farmers and working to build a sustainable food system for Wales, prioritising meaningful community ownership and backing the development of energy communities, supporting communities to come together to generate, use and conserve as much electricity and heat as they can, locally and collectively, requiring a minimum community ownership stake of between 15 and 25%, community benefits for all energy projects above 10 megawatts as a key condition of consent, and making sure that business rates on wind and solar farms are retained by those local authorities in which they are located. Ensuring the scale, siting and cumulative impact of energy developments are properly considered through the planning system, favouring well-designed, appropriately dispersed projects that balance local impact with efficient delivery, while protecting productive agricultural land and providing shared ownership of larger-scale developments. I would be glad to know your position on the Ponthir development, the planning structure that could create it, and its compatibility with your manifesto provisions. Reform UK, Wales leader Dan Thomas. I welcome Reform UK's valid comments on net zero and subsidy ideology. And I note that Plaid Cymru now supports a balance between energy and community, whilst Welsh Conservatives are calling for an outright moratorium on industrial-scale solar. I'd be glad to know your position on the Ponthir development and on the planning structure that could create it. Welsh Labour, leader Eluned Morgan. Firstly, I welcome the Welsh Labour initiatives regarding community-owned or shared renewable energy, energy-independent Wales, the use of coal tips for solar energy, tidal energy, a mandate that renewable energy projects benefit their local community, and expert groups to listen to communities as to how best deliver projects. Then to restore and improve access to nature, protect properties from flooding, and to create more green spaces in communities. Most of those excellent provisions are at odds with the Senedd's current disposition to make a Ponthir Solar victim with a crazy scheme from a foreign company. I would be glad to know your position on the Ponthir development, on the planning structure that could create it, and the development's contradictions to the above manifesto provisions of Welsh Labour. Wales Green Party, leader Anthony Slaughter. I welcome the Green Party's manifesto, and particularly the sections including culture in planning and regeneration, heritage and cultural landscapes, governance and leadership, co-production with communities, health and well-being, long-term workforce, community-owned energy, nature and environmental governance, land use, farming and food, benefit sharing, responsible private investment, and public bodies. I believe that the Green Party is thought by some to ideologically promote all manner of solar developments. I hope that's a misrepresentation. I also note that Plaid Cymru now supports a balance between energy and community. I would be glad to know your position on the Ponthir development and on the planning structure that could create it. Welsh Conservative Party, Leader Darren Miller. I welcome the Welsh Conservative Manifesto in relation to marine energy, solar energy from roof space, and of course a moratorium on industrial-scale solar and wind farms to protect the Welsh countryside. Also relevant in relation to the ill-founded Ponthir Solar plans are your sections on a new devolution framework in Wales, a growth strategy for Wales, and a reduction in the size of the Welsh Government's civil service. The Ponthir proposals justify the Welsh Conservative position on solar energy. In the above context, I would be glad if there's anything you can say about the Ponthir development and the planning structure that could create it. Of course, I'm grateful for the steadfast support of Peter Fox, MS. Welsh Liberal Democrats, Leader Jane Dodds. In your party's manifesto for the forthcoming Senedd elections, I appreciate some provisions that could improve our plight. These include a fair deal for our farmers and rural communities, for everyone to be able to enjoy the benefits of our wonderful natural environment, and for our children to inherit the future they deserve. Then, by acknowledging a right to health and that natural environment which big companies have a duty to protect, plus promoting a rooftop solar revolution. Unfortunately, there's little in your manifesto that would improve our plight in the short term. One very worrying aspect is your provision for a net zero delivery authority. Right now, the local community feels victim to the existing net zero ideology, which allows the Senedd to override normal planning considerations in favour of net zero. It has encouraged the foreign company Total Energies to take advantage of incentives created by the relaxation of environmental, ecological, agricultural, social, cultural, recreational, and road safety considerations. I trust your manifesto provision for a solar revolution will be appropriately constrained. I would be glad to know your position on the Ponthir development or on the planning structure that could create it, and its contradictions to the manifesto provisions of the Welsh Liberal Democrats. The Senedd elections will come and go, but their legacy will be in our countryside for generations.